Welcome to my mini video series on SWOT, SWOT analysis, and I'm going to encourage you to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. There's 4 videos in the little mini series, so you can watch each one, and hopefully they'll build up to, some great support of you, for you as you develop, you look at your professional development, and possibly personal development, obviously, as well. So today this video is going to be on strengths of the SWOT. So identifying your strengths, how are they helping you in your career journey, and bringing them from a passive process into an active, intentional and conscious process instead. So if we look at, say, an example of a strength you'll hear a lot of, I work with middle management to executives. You hear the phrase natural born leader. Oh, he or she is a natural born leader. Now, that can be a bit discouraging for those people that don't feel they are a natural born leader as they're coming into middle management. But what I'm here to tell you today is that, processes such as SWOT analysis are really important to be able to learn the skills of leadership as you develop throughout your career. It is not true that every amazing leader was born that way. There are always things that people learn. If we look at leadership as an example of a strength, what does that mean? It means you can set a vision, you can inspire people, you are passionate, you can lead from the heart as well as the head, and you're efficient and you're outcome driven. Now, if you look at all of those things, there's no reason why, if you bring them into active intention, that you can't improve them over time. Now, how do we do that? So if we accept, I think the really important thing to understand is that quite often in work every day, we walk around in our strength zone, because that is that's often where we get the best results. It's where we're the most comfortable. But that does mean that it can be a passive approach. It can be, your strengths can sit quite passively in yourself unless you actively draw them out. And that is important for your career development, your personal development, if you're interviewing, and for a variety of things. So how do we do that? So if we accept it's a passive, it can be quite a passive process internally. We quite easily do this, we easily do that, we easily do this without analysing, what strength allows us to be quite efficient and effective and productive easily. How do we identify what our key strengths are? So we need to get outside ourselves. If it's a bit of a passive process within, we need to look a bit externally to help us identify those things at times. So with your strengths, I would always make a list of any feedback you've been given throughout your career, because that is a really good little exercise to show, am I aware of my strengths? If I look at the feedback I've been given, is that in line with what I would write? So that's a great little exercise. I would ask you to write down what you're passionate about, because even if it's outside of work, there's ways of drawing the strengths into your professional development, your professional life as well. I would look at where you're most productive. As I was saying, often people will turn up to work and be very easily be able to run a team, or they'll easily be able to hire someone, they'll easily be able to analyze something, and they don't give themselves enough credit or bring that consciously and intentionally into their mind, knowing that they can do that because they have a key strength that allows it. So I would write down anything that you find you're extremely productive at, you find efficient, you're efficient at, you're easily effective in, and identify the key strength from there. You can always ask others, people you work with, your bosses, your ex-bosses, your colleagues. You can take personality tests, which can identify things that you may not be aware of, again, which you can then intentionally on a day-to-day basis build. It's like a muscle, you can build it up and build it up. And then the last thing I would encourage you to do is get outside of your comfort zone. Really, I suppose when we stretch ourselves, we have to rely on our strengths to overcome fear. And in doing so, our strengths are exposed to ourselves. So this is also a really great way, taking on tasks outside your comfort zone at work, in personal life, and then identifying what strength allowed you through that process and out the other side successfully. So this is my video on the S of SWOT. Please watch the other ones, the W's for weakness, O for opportunities, T for threats, and hopefully the combination of this little analysis piece that I'll encourage you to do will really help you day to day on your professional development and your personal.